Here, this is the first shot after the break, and I can't see the one ball which is hanging in the corner pocket. Sometimes if you have a ball hanging in the pocket, it may be best just to call rollout and pocket that ball. Just remember to leave a tough shot for the next object ball. In this example, there's no real good rollout and the one ball is near the pocket. So in this situation, I would just call rollout, pocket the one ball, and leave a tough shot on the two ball. In this situation, the one ball is on the in rail, and no matter where I leave my opponent, he's probably going to play a lock-up safety. If you're playing a tough opponent, always remember to tie up a ball when you're rolling out. Here, the 9 ball is hanging in the corner pocket, so I don't want to call rollout and have my opponent luck in the 9 ball. So I'm just going to call rollout and pocket the 9 ball. I'm then going to draw the cue ball back, leaving a tough shot on the 2 ball. There may be times that come up where your opponent plays a safety on you and there's no way you can hit the object ball. And the 9 ball is hanging in the pocket. And in this situation, I can try a tough kick shot on the 2 ball, but if I don't hit it, my opponent will probably win the game just by doing a 2-9 combination. So my best bet is to take an intentional foul and pocket the 9 ball, so my opponent will have to at least work for the win. However, there are no good paths to the 9 ball from where the cue ball is. So here's a little trick you can use if this ever comes up. Find out where the cue ball and the object ball the cue ball is frozen to are lined up to, and look at that line. Then find the line that goes from the cue ball to the 9 ball. Now if you just aim between these two lines, the cue ball should head toward the 9 ball. One thing that you have to keep in mind is that the safety shot is one of the #1 shots that people either jump up on or fail to finish their stroke. In this example, I jumped up and short-stroked the safety, and I failed to get a good safety. And this happens quite often whenever people play safeties. They tend to short-stroke their safety, not trusting their cue ball control, and they end up selling out. You have to treat the safety shot like any other shot. You need to stay down and complete the stroke and trust your speed control. So in this shot, I've completed the stroke and stayed down and trusted my cue ball speed. Here's another example where I stayed down and completed the stroke. Now I'm going to talk about a strategy when playing safe. In this example, I'm going to play safe on the 3 ball and put the cue ball behind this wall of balls. And I'm going to show you a mistake that many people make without thinking. Here, the 3 ball has ended up near the side rail, and the problem with this is that now this 3 ball becomes a much larger ball. Even if my opponent is bad at kicking, they will probably hit this ball. As you can see, they just need to hit anywhere along this area and they'll hit the ball. Now I'm going to show you the difference when the object ball is away from the rail. Here, the ball is now much smaller and it's going to take a more precise hit to strike this ball. Here's another example where a player puts the object ball near a rail. So now, if we look at a close-up of this ball, we can see that the area to strike this ball is very large. Even if my opponent kicks poorly, they will probably still hit this ball. Here's one more example of leaving a ball near a rail. It's like putting a backboard next to the object ball. Now, if I had shot this 2 ball harder to keep it away from the rail, we now see that it would be a much tougher kick shot requiring more skill. When the object ball is near a rail, the kicker doesn't have to be as accurate. It's a much bigger ball. Now, it may not be possible in every safety to place the object ball away from the rails, but it is something you definitely need to think about when playing safe. Another error people make when playing safe is they end up putting the object ball near a pocket. If you think the object ball is going to head to a pocket area, you need to make the necessary adjustments with English to keep the object ball away from that area. Now we're going to talk about playing safe on a kick shot. In this example, the player is snookered on the 4 ball, so what a lot of people do is they kick wildly at the ball hoping to make something or get safe, and it usually doesn't end well. The correct way to kick at this ball, since the 7 is blocking the bottom left-hand corner pocket, is to kick off the other end rail and just hit the 4 hard enough to hit the rail. If you do it correctly, your opponent will be left without a shot. Here is another example where players will wildly kick at a ball, hoping to luck something in. When you have the object ball close to another ball, there is usually a good chance that if you barely hit the object ball, you won't leave your opponent a shot. Here the 7 and 8 are tied up, so I just don't want to fire away at them. Instead, I'm going to barely hit the 7 and not leave my opponent a shot. And once again, I'm just going to barely hit the 7 and not leave my opponent a shot. Here's a mistake that many players make. They play safe, but they end up pocketing the object ball, leaving themselves without a shot. When you're playing safe, you should always be aware of the object ball's path after contact. If there is even a slight chance of that object ball going into a pocket, you need to make the necessary adjustments to prevent this. Here, I added more English to the cue ball, and I spun the object ball away from the side pocket. Sometimes when playing safe, the object ball may be next to another ball. You can then use that other ball as a stopper for the object ball. This way you know exactly where the object ball will end up, and you can focus more on the cue ball location. Here, the 2 ball is next to the 5 ball. So I know that if I hit the 2 into the 5, it's going to stop right there. In this example, there isn't a ball next to the 3 ball to stop it, but I can shoot it into another ball and at the same time put the cue ball behind the 9 ball. In this example, I'm just going to hit the 3 ball into part of the 4 ball. This will cause the 3 ball to head up table. Now when you're playing safety where the cue ball has to travel a ways, try to visualize the path the cue ball is going to take. When you can visualize the path, it gives you a target to aim for on the first rail. Here, I'm visualizing the path to place the cue ball behind the 9 ball. This technique for visualizing the path works really well with more complicated safeties. Here, I need the cue ball to travel 3 rails to play safe, so I visualize the path in my mind, and I can now see the spot on the side rail I need to hit with the cue ball. And the main reason you need to start visualizing the lines is because it gives you an aiming point off the first rail. In this example, I don't have a shot on the 6 ball, so I want to play safety. And what I would like to do is just shoot the 6 ball 2 rails to the other side of the table and put the cue ball behind the 9 and 8 ball. So I'm going to show you a trick for figuring out where to aim on the 6 to draw back to this area. First, draw a line from the center of the cue ball to the center of the 6 ball. Then, draw a line from the center of the 6 ball to the area you want to end up in. Now, if you just aim between these 2 lines on the 6 ball and hit the cue ball with low English, the cue ball will draw back between the 8 and 9 ball. Here's another example. I'm going to shoot the 3 ball and bury the cue ball between the 4 ball and the rail. So I find the line that goes from the center of the cue ball to the center of the 3 ball. Then I find the line that goes from the 3 ball to where I want the cue ball to end up. Now if I just aim between these 2 lines, the cue ball will head to the rail behind the 4 ball. In this shot, I just want to shoot the 3 ball up table and put the cue ball behind the 7 ball. So once again, I find the 2 lines and aim between them. Here's a shot that comes up all the time and you can really bury your opponent. I'm going to shoot the 5 ball and leave the cue ball between the 7 ball and the rail. So I just find the two lines, concentrate on my speed, and I should be able to play a lock-up safety. In this final example, we have a close-up of the safety. Here, we're finding the two lines and we're just aiming right between them. Here's an example where you can use this technique on an offensive shot. In this situation, I just want to shoot the 1 ball and draw it back into the 9 ball, winning the game. So I see that line that goes from the cue ball to the 1 ball. Then the line that goes from the 1 to the 9. Then I'll just shoot between these two lines with low English. In this example, I'm on the 1 ball and there's no way I can get back for the 2 ball. But if we look over here, we can see a nice little hiding spot behind the 6 and 7 ball. So I'm just going to pocket the 1 ball and play position for a safety. So here I'm just going to bank the 2 ball up table and put the cue ball behind the 6 and 7. And if I do this correctly, I should win the game. Sometimes a good defensive shot is just as powerful as a good offensive shot.